but there's a wound inside of me that is bigger than just you and I at this moment. It started outside of us and it's continuing outside of us. That's causing me to feel like shivers down my spine because of someone in your DMs or text messages.
And then I see his WhatsApp messages, and this one ex-girlfriend that he talks to sometimes had messaged him an article or something.
I am now realizing it's because I understood that their intention when talking to you is to date you. And so immediately...
So you feel that.
I feel that. And I'm like...
If all of your wants and needs are taken care of, and you have a great community, why, of all people on the earth, do I need to be talking to an ex?
I have. If I just originated a conversation, that's a red flag. 100%. But if it's keeping one going, and your body language says something different, it may be a little bit different. But what I've realized over us talking about this is I've been a hypocrite this entire time.
Welcome back to Listen Before Love. We are back again, baby.
So excited for this one.
You're excited for all of them.
I'm excited for all of them. I say it every time. So glad to be here. So excited. That's when you love what you do and you love this podcast.
He's not just saying that. He is so excited for this one.
I've had it marked and circled in my calendar for a while.
I love you.
I love you too.
I have a juicy topic to talk about. As you know, we're doing our question series, and this might just be how we do the pod going forward, honestly, because we get so many amazing questions from people who we work with one-on-one, who come to the walks, who come to our gratitude community, and now our new dating communities, which just launched in the comments if you want to check it out. But we get so many questions from people that every time I answer these questions, I think to myself, oh my gosh, we should share this on the pod. And the question I really want to dive in today, my love, is should we have any contact with our exes? What's going on there? Is that a red flag? Is that a no-go? How do we feel about that? And we have a very unique, somewhat enlightened perspective on this. In some ways. So you want to let us in, baby, on the fact that you talk to your ex-girlfriend sometimes.
Yeah. So I'm very fortunate, even though I've made plenty of mistakes, nearly all of them in the book when it comes to relationships. The person I was with in the past, all of them, mostly, know that I'm a good person and feel positive emotions when they think of me and our experiences in the past. And so thankfully, I'm in really good places and very amicable with nearly all the women I've ever dated. And so I'm very fortunate with that because you have to be a certain type of guy for that to even be a possibility. And yeah, I mean, the far majority of them, I just don't really talk to anymore. And then, but yeah, my most recent one, I talk to probably every 5-6 months, I'd say. And yeah, it's I know my intentions with it. I understand how safe I am and how much of a knowing I have that you're my person. And that person just serves such a important part of my life. And at this moment, I'm I'd like to stay in touch with them. I'm not text them all the time. They're not my best friend by any means, but I definitely keep tabs on them. And so, yeah, I understand that's a very taboo thing to do, especially in today's world where your ex-girlfriend, your ex-boyfriend is now your worst enemy and you hate them and all those negative emotions about it. But I'm grateful that I just don't really have that towards any of my ex-girlfriends. And so, yeah, that being said, that was something that I had before I met you. And I haven't ever really asked you how you feel about it. Truly. I've never asked you how you feel about me talking to my ex-girlfriend still. I understand it's a very low cadence and frequency of when it happens, but it still does. And as someone who is very mature, I would say darn near enlightened and very divine. I would love to know how you feel about that.
Yeah. So it's funny because I don't think I've ever quite understood this whole, like, if someone's an ex, they're dead to you type of a thing. It just doesn't resonate with me, and I have been in some compromising positions before where, like, I thought things could be chill, and then the other person really did not think they could be chill. It caused a lot of issues. So I've seen, like, the best of this and the worst of this. But I would say when it comes to you and your ex, the feeling that I have around it is that she seems like a really good person and seems like someone who had a really profound impact on you and, like, in a lot of ways built you into the man that I get to enjoy. So, like, thank you. And, like, that to me, I don't have a problem with that. Like, but having a conversation every now and then, and I know that you had, like, caught up with her for an hour or so a month ago or so, and that didn't bother me at all. It was more so just like, I trust you.
Mm-hmm.
And so because I trust you, if you want to invest your time there, and I know how particular you are about how you invest your energy and time, then this must be a really special person
Mm-hmm.
who is really, like, giving you a reciprocal value exchange for you to want to even do that.
Most definitely. And what's allowed for me to keep that going ever since dating you is understanding not only my position in our relationship and then my relationship with that ex-girlfriend, but also understanding their position. Like, I understand that they're not really looking to get back together. At least it's what I've felt so far. And I know it's my truth. That being said, there are also other women that I've dated in the past that, and I see you out there. I know you're watching, by the way. I know you're watching.
Hey.
I have my ways of finding that out. That will send me a follow
Hey, yo.
every few months to, like, see if I follow them back or see if I, like, comment their posts or like this or DM them, whatever it is. It's like these subtle ways of them being like, what you up to? You know, what's you still dating that girl? You know, like I can feel the energy from, quite honestly, a handful of other women that I especially dated in college and in high school. And for me, I'm like, I understand their energy, so they're getting a wall. I'm not blocking them. I don't block anyone unless, like, you're, like, threatening my life, which happens. But I not going to entertain that. So it's definitely very unique, and it's like you have to kind of feel the energy that not only you feel towards them, but they have towards you. And I don't know if I've done that perfectly by any means, but I've done that to the best of my ability so far.
That's so interesting. So you wouldn't communicate with a woman who you felt like had feelings for you?
Yes.
Now let me ask you this. What if one of those women was like, Cam, I need closure from what happened with us. Can you talk on the phone?
Before I answer that, let me even back a step more. Women that I've dated, if I feel as if there's anything still there, I cut it off.
Yeah.
A lot of other women from my past that were friends, family friends, whatever it is, I knew they had a crush on me, but nothing ever happened there. And so if there is, like, I've never even made that even a possibility to them. So if there's, like, this one-off thing of they're in Austin and want to text me about what to do in Austin or lunch one day, I'm open to that. But if there's any side of we've had a past together, a romantic past, I'm not going to have that be. I forgot, what was your question? Pause. Let me say this whole thing.
Would you? I'm sorry, that was so funny. If one of these women asks you, "Hey, can we talk on the phone?
For
Because
closure.
I need closure," what would you say?
Yeah, I give them
You
closure.
do it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think it's definitely case by case. It's like I'm not going to give you closure for the 5th time,
Yeah.
because you're obviously just wanting my attention. But if it really feels right, and I feel as if on my end there's, like, stuff that was going on that wasn't fully voiced in that moment, I'd be very open to it. There's also, I think, a period of time where, like, closure isn't really needed. It'd be kind of a formality for it to happen. A few months after, it makes complete sense. Even a year after, it makes complete sense.
Mhm.
But like multiple years after, which would be the case,
Mm.
I'm like, I don't know. You know,
Yeah.
if you're still hung up on what happened, even if there's some loose ends years after, that's a completely different situation we're talking.
What do you think's going on there?
If you are still hung up on a relationship that ended 2+ years ago, there is an incapability to move on because you're not thinking about closure with our relationship 2+ years ago if you had other relationships between that time, because you're on to the next one pretty much.
Yeah.
The person from high school, college, whatever that you dated in the past, I sure hope you're not still hung up on them. Because if you're still hung up on that from the past, that means there's nothing else that picked you up on the way.
Yeah.
There's no one else that you've been talking to or thinking of since then.
Do you think that's the case, though?
I think it is for most of the time.
Or do you think that it could be the case? Because I think about this a lot. I know. So Cam and I have this like insider baseball talk. Like, just so you guys know, we talk about this stuff all day long.
Yeah.
Literally, this is why we have this show. Is like, if we weren't even, the cameras weren't here, we'd be talking about the same thing.
Mhm.
But like one interesting quality about Cam and I that I think like some people listening to this probably have and or can develop this is it's a like presence that makes people feel loved.
Mhm.
And and especially in a world of distractions and technology and addiction to everything but the present moment, it's very rare to come across someone who gives you almost like so much presence you can't even hold it. And so sometimes I wonder, like people from the past, because this does happen to me often, who I haven't talked to in years will be like, I will never forget you. And like, I haven't met anyone even remotely like you. And I think about that and I'm like, it's not because we're so special. It's just because we're very present. And we're also kind of
We're
special.
also, I mean, we're
kind of special.
we're special in multiple ways.
We are special. But like
little special needs too. Let's put that out there.
That's what I
It's
talked
very
about.
clear. The listeners are already thinking of it. We're just gonna address it. Elephant in the room.
No one tried to diagnose us, by the way.
Yeah.
Feel free to take a shot. If you feel like you know what we've got, we got something.
Something on that spectrum, I'll tell you that right now.
Love on the spectrum, all right? But like, we're special in special needs. We'll just tell you that up front. But I think that I get this thing so often where like guys from the distant past will circle back with me because they're just like, yeah, we dated in high school, but like, I just haven't found somebody like you. And I don't think they mean anything but the presence.
Yeah.
But I'm open to being wrong.
We're also very unique people.
Yeah.
And so like, I don't give a shit what people think, but like, we're very attractive people that like are very good communicators and are intelligent and personable. And it can be hard to replicate that unless you are really the exact same as us and are willing to find others that are very, very similar. And so we have an effect on people. I mean, that's why people pay us, right?
That's true.
Because they meet us once. They pay us to be clients because they meet us once and like, there's something different about that person. I want that person more in our life. And so like, we obviously have that effect to some extent. And I think a lot of other people, especially listening to this, have the same.
Yeah.
And it's unique to understand, especially in the situation we're now where people are vying for our attention, asking for it oftentimes. And many are willing to pay a lot of money for it.
Yeah.
Of course, even people from our past are like, I want some too.
That's a good point. Yeah, I guess it was when the first place my mind goes when guys reach out to me, whether it was like 2 years ago or 6 months ago, or, you know, especially guys, I feel like guys can smell when there's like the doors closing. Mm-hmm. You know, like they always make this joke, and it's because the energy that when the door is closing, all the dudes just like resurface out of the sidewalk cracks and are like, hey, can we catch up? Hey, what's going on over there? And that happened like en masse this year, like so many of those guys. And some were like from a very long time ago. And maybe it's just that they felt in my energy that it was like, oh, she's gone now. You know, like there's a finality to it. Like, oh, she's off the market for real. And if I had one chance to be like, I object, it's going to be now.
It's going to be a sly DM. It's not going to be at the wedding.
It's going to be an Instagram story like.
It's going to be Instagram story like. Be like, oh, hey, it's been a while. How are you?
No, most of them, no, they were pretty direct with me. Most of them, it was like a text message, and it usually was really friendly. I mean, I got one like 3 days ago from that, like I told you, that one guy who like shot a shot with me, and then I like
Oh,
ghosted.
yeah.
Because okay, here's the thing, it's gonna be a whole nother episode, but I used to be very like indirect, and like Cam is kind of the opposite of me. Like, okay, let's actually get into this. So there's a reason why. It's okay. So Cam has such great relationships with all of his exes. Not so much the case for me because I was a little more avoidant with them than like I would have liked. And I'm not going to say I fumbled this every time, but I think that like the situation Cam's saying where he's on such great terms with his exes that they almost like hold a candle for him.
Most
I
definitely.
feel like that kind of happens to you.
That's happening to you right now, too.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, most definitely.
Oh.
So guys are a little bit different. It's not holding the candle for one day. It's like, this girl's in my back pocket.
Oh, say more.
And if a lot of men believe like, well, if I really tried to get with this girl again, I could.
Oh, dear God.
That's what a lot of men think about for their ex-girlfriend.
Delusion. Are
Yeah,
they right, though?
I mean,
they would not be right with me.
For you, no. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, you're a divine, strong woman.
Oh, thank you, baby.
But for, a lot of women, that is the case, I think.
So you're saying that, okay, actually, let's go down this thread. So let's say an ex is reaching out. Like in the case of you and the one ex who you catch up with sometimes, what do you think the intention is there?
We, I think, realized that we were in each other's lives to expedite each other's personal growth.
And she's on the path and she's spiritual.
Exactly.
And she is looking at herself. So that kind of makes sense.
100%. So when we're on the phone, we're not talking about, what's up with your life? Well, kind of, but it's like, how's your spiritual journey going?
Oh, really?
That's what the calls are.
Oh, that's cool.
And we might have like 5 minutes of how's the family.
Yeah.
But that's it. It's like, how is your spiritual journey going? Okay, you had that. Wow, incredible. Like it's very much, we know if we're going to talk, it's going to be about that. It's not about, let me get the all-encompassing aspect of your life. It's not that at all. Which makes it, I think, different from most. Because if any other ex-girlfriend talked to me, it'll be about, no, what's up with you? It'll be there. It'll be that. So it definitely is a little bit different, I believe.
So it's almost like an acknowledgement of, we grew a lot while we were together. And we know that we were a big reason for why that happened. And so now we're like doing catch-ups after the fact.
Pretty much.
Like, how'd you grow since the last time I talked to you?
And she always kind of like checks me on stuff because she knows me so well and at least knew a lesser evolved version of myself. But some of the tendencies will still be the same. And she's like, has no problem being like, hey, you're being a little too much here or whatever it is there. And so it's a unique dynamic to say the least. But I understand because normally most exes I would cut off altogether. Yeah. Not cut off, but not block and stuff, but just not really try to put any loose ends. This one's a tad bit different. That being said, you hit me with, want to say that today?
What happened today?
Today, we were talking about potential topics to speak upon.
Oh, right.
And I don't know how this came up, but it was like, keeping in touch with ex-girlfriends while you're in a committed relationship.
Yeah, I know why it came up.
Go ahead.
I'll tell the people. Okay. So as I was saying, some men from my past can feel that door closing, especially after Cam recent, because we're insane and we just like pop off and say random stuff. But like, we have a house together, and I don't think a lot of people from the outside like realize how aligned our relationship is. And like, we're not dating, like we're like one.
Yeah.
We're like one person.
Yeah.
And like, there's no questioning. Like, our last episode was, how do you know that this person's the one? And like, Cam is the one and I am his one. And there's like, that's just it. And once you find that, it's like, oh, okay, then everyone else just ceases to exist in your brain romantically.
Yeah.
It just goes away. But like, I don't think I fully realized that other people didn't realize that that was happening.
because most of the time when you're dating, you're still kind of feeling it out.
Right.
It's until like you're married, not even just engaged, but married. That's when that door for them is officially
It's
closed.
shut. Right.
But when it's still dating, they can still go fishing. They can ring out their line.
Right.
Knowing, all right, the waters aren't as great as they used to be.
Right.
But there's a chance she may grab onto that hook. And so I'm going to throw it just because.
So you're telling me there's a chance.
Because the reward is so good, it's worth it. So that's what they're doing.
Right.
That's what's going on.
Right.
That's what most of my ex-girlfriends are doing.
Right. And so I didn't fully appreciate or really understand that, like, people don't live in our day-to-day. And if they just shouted us for a day, they'd be like, oh, the door's closed. Like, it would be very, very obvious. But of course, we know that, and we have the show, so we think, like, it's very obvious. It would be literally insane to do a relationship podcast with someone you weren't, like, certain was going to be your person. That would just be, like what an arc.
Like,
okay.
Episode 3 is like, we broke up.
You'd be like, okay, listen, not to shade them, that'd be hilarious, but like, we have to have a level of conviction in this relationship to even have this podcast. And so I get that, like, from the outside, yeah, we're dating and he's technically my boyfriend. Ugh, I don't like that word, but like, he's my lover and I love him so much. And he's my man. Like, you're my husband.
Yeah.
Like, you call me wife all the time.
Mama.
Exactly.
Mama.
Like, literally, he put a ring emoji on my contact on like week
we
2 of us dating. So like, okay, this is what we're dealing with here, guys. Like, this is not a normal relationship. This was like, once you do the inner work on yourself and you get the clarity of signal and you find the person, it's like, okay, we are one now. Like, goodbye, everyone. See ya.
I remember when my parents were in town, we'd only been dating for like a few weeks, but I told them, like, over the phone, like right before I hung up, like, yeah, Ma, I think she's the one. All right, see you next week. And so I get a text 2 days later, so it doesn't seem like it's, as intentional. It was like, hey, we really love to visit you in Austin to see what your new life is all about from them. They come down. As I'm picking them up from the airport, you text me as like I'm telling you that we're coming home. And as they're getting a text in the car, of course, Siri says the text out loud. And it's like, text from Elle Beecher, red heart, ring emoji. And I didn't even look over to them, but I can feel their energy of like, ring emoji.
Did they ask?
No, there was anything
That's hilarious.
But it could have been all just self-projected, but I could feel something.
You were like
that.
And of course they hadn't met me yet. So they were like, oh God. Because like, and it's just, I always had a deep knowing within myself, and I think Cam's like this too, or maybe you could check me. I had a deep knowing that when I was going to find the person, it was just going to be like effortlessly and move very quickly. And time doesn't exist really in our world. Like, we barely know what day it is at any given time. And so in our world, time is a flat circle. When I look back on a relationship, like, we met February 19th and then we started dating in March. And how many months even is that?
Feels like lifetimes.
Like, it feels like we've been together so much longer. So I can get where people from the outside would be like, oh, they're just dating and like, this is just a phase or whatever. Okay. So I'm just sharing all that to say that I understand from the outside how someone would think there's still a chance here, because we've been dating less than a year somehow. I don't even know how it's possible. And they don't realize that we like bought a house. Like, we're technically married in the state of Texas because it's a, what is that called? A title. Like, you have like a title of the house together. That's like your announcement to the state of Texas that you're married. So All right. Baby. So like, people don't get this from the outside, and I can't say I blame them because nobody's up in our business. Like, we're in our business. So with all that said, there have been dudes who like clearly are not clocking the reality of this situation, who are like floating back on a nice wave into my text messages and my DMs and anywhere they can find me, my emails, some of them even. And one of them happened a couple days ago. Okay, there's actually a couple that happened the last few days, LOL.
The email thing is hilarious.
Yeah, literally. But like, okay, I got one text message from a guy who I was talking to before I met Cam. So this one's like kind of recent. It was in this year. And there's like mixed emotions with this specific guy because like Cam knows of him, and You remember I told you about this? This is actually what sparked this question. I'm not going to say his name because I'm not insane, but like,
Yeah.
you know, I'll tell you afterwards.
Okay.
So, okay. So this guy texts me, and then I tell Cam, hey, so guess what? This guy texted me because we're very open and we tell each other everything.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about.
No, I don't yet. But that's kind of wild if they know me
Well,
and they're still texting that. That's actually insane.
Crazy.
That's actually insane.
Right.
But okay. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, play good.
No, men are savages.
Yeah.
Women out there are savages. We could have this podcast be a decade into our marriage with multiple kids, and I guarantee you both of us are still going to respectively have probably, at least with that time, the audience we have, dozens of men and women being like, oh, he ain't shit. He ain't treating you as well as I could.
Oh, just give me a chance.
Give me a chance. And I'm going to have the same.
Put me in chief, yeah.
Like, people don't care.
They don't care. They don't care.
And honestly, respect.
Respect.
Like, respect. But wild.
Boldness. The flavor. Ooh, the Cool Ranch Dorito flavor of it. It's really something. So I get this text and I tell Cam about it because we're on a walk. I tell him everything. And he tells me, by the way, like, I remember this one time we were upstairs working on something together. And then I see his like WhatsApp messages, and this one ex-girlfriend that he talks to sometimes had messaged him an article or something. And he even said like, oh, by the way, like, she messaged me because she shared this podcast with me. And then he opened up the messages like just preemptively. I didn't even ask, but like whenever he even feels like it could be like look weird, like you'll say something to me, which I really appreciate. So this was like my idea of like returning that courtesy. And also because there's nothing to hide. So why wouldn't I tell you? So this guy texted me and I tell Cam about it. And this past, like, let's say 2-3 weeks, I've been really working at like closing the loop with people. Like, this has been something that I struggled with in the past because I didn't know how to set like proper boundaries with people. So if you're out here listening to this and have ever DM'd me, there's a very good chance I haven't responded to you. And that's not because I don't want to. It's because I short circuit when I think about me responding and then ending up in like a very long conversation that I don't know how to like float away from digitally. Like, this is just something I struggle with. So of course, as I'm voicing this thing that I'm working on, I get all of these messages that I want to avoid. Okay. And it wasn't just from these guys, because there were like 2 of them over the last couple of days, but it was also from women. So I was like feeling so good about myself. I'm like closing the loop with people. I'm responding to them. And then of course I get hit with the text from this one guy. So I tell Cam about it. And when I tell him about it, I feel like there's something a little different in the energy than like, let's say how I would feel about you talking to that one ex-girlfriend of yours.
Most definitely.
And, you know, where Cam's always trying to encourage me to grow, all of a sudden he's saying, you know, I don't think you should say anything. And I don't think, and I'm like, that's interesting.
Are you talking about the text that wasn't at all asking about your dating life?
Yes.
It was asking about like a third party?
Yes.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Well, because that's how guys are. That's always how guys are with me. They will get in the door again about something random, and then it will evolve into it.
And y'all wonder why she didn't choose you. You indirect. I know who it is now. I know you're watching this. This is why I didn't choose you.
Speak on it.
Say the truth.
Tell the truth.
Say directly what you desire from that person.
Ooh.
It saves all suffering from both sides. And you wonder why you're not with her. That's all I got to say to y'all. That was my...
Ooh.
That was...
Wait, okay, so that's actually a really great train of thought because one of the least attractive qualities in man is indirectness. And if you as a man aren't like being intentional and direct about what you want to get out of this interaction, or you're using like the back door, like a completely unrelated topic to get in the door with someone, and then you're going to like almost sneak attack them with what you actually want to talk about, that's manipulative.
Yeah, and you're obsessive over exactly what you're going to tweet.
Yep.
Exactly what you're going to DM them exactly what you're going to text. Like you're trying to fine tune it, everything you can to make it perfect for the best chance. And maybe like, oh, you know what? Fuck this guy I'm with. I should be with you because of that emoji you used, because that text. I know what you really mean. Yeah. I don't understand that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand that at all. As you can see, my emotions are a little up because of that, because that's interesting to me. So let's
Wait. Let's go into that.
Let's go into it. Okay.
What you talk about?
Because now I know exactly what you're talking about. That was a unique situation, but I am now realizing that a part of when you told me about this text as we were walking, and I'm like, just don't respond.
Yeah.
I am now realizing it's because I understood that their intention when talking to you is to date you. And so immediately,
so you feel that.
I feel that. And I'm like, and by when I say don't respond, there's nothing that I say that's a demand or forcing her.
Oh, of course.
And nothing she says is demand or forcing me. We just have this bond of like, I know I'm going to do me and you're going to do you, but you can kind of talk to me and I can talk to you of like, nah, don't do that. It doesn't mean if you do that, I'm going to hate you or I'm going to whatever. It's just, I would not do that if I were you. But yeah, when I got that, now thinking about it, I was triggered. And so I'm thinking, okay, whether it's an ex or someone you talk to for a while is reaching out again, that's kind of exactly what's going on in my life with my ex-girlfriend. And I'm like, it's the same but different. You know, we're trying to rationalize it and stuff, which is unique because that's meaning that I know how I would feel if random guys from your past were trying to like DM you or trying to message you again or call you. I'm like, oh, they're trying to get back to you with you. Don't explore that.
So let's explore this for a moment because, okay, do you feel that when a man, I love when you smile like that, you're loving this. Do you feel like every time a man reaches out to a woman that he was with, it's for that motive?
Yeah.
So you think a majority of the time, like
I think darn near 100%.
Okay, so say more. Why?
Okay. Especially if it's something indirect, like they said. Men, the far majority of reasons why I talk to women is to be with them. Is to get laid or to have them be the one. Period. That's why even the thing of like female friends, is that a real thing? That's why it's even a question. Because most of men's attentions, 99% of them are that. Now, if he were to text you like something incredible concrete, and let's say it was something about a mutual friend you guys have. Hey, this person is having a tough time. Can you talk to them or something like that? That's maybe a little bit different. But if it's just like another question that is very open-ended, that obviously just kind of he's wanting your attention, that's because he's trying to dive in through the door, put his foot in the door before it fully closes. Same for women.
Okay, that's interesting. So you think, okay, so coming from a man, you feel like when men reach out to exes, it is 99% of the time because they're interested.
Exactly.
And they're trying to get at least a conversation going.
Yes. And so especially like if of course, like let's take it, if it was our situation, but not us, but this does apply. If I were to start reaching out to like people from high school and college, like random exes, that there wasn't any type of like conversation going upon like the one I have, if I just like originated a conversation, that's a red flag, 100%. But if it's keeping one going and your body language says something different, it may be a little bit different. But what I've realized over us talking about this is I've been a hypocrite this entire time. And I'm realizing like, okay, if I think it's completely okay for me to continue having, whether even though they're only periodic conversations with my ex, while every time an ex or a potential prospect in the past of yours tries to reach out, I'm like, I wouldn't respond if I were you. There's obviously a part of me that's not looking in the mirror of what's actually taking place. And so I look at it as, okay, well, it makes sense why people don't want their person talking to their ex, because like it's never really something to be great. But as like a quote unquote enlightened experience or enlightened perspective, I know that I fully trust you and that you fully trust me. And that in theory, because of that, I should understand that every time you talk to anyone, it's just with the best, wholesome, altruistic intentions. And I shouldn't get my panties in a twist because of it. But because there's probably unresolved things I have, like I actually know it, it's trust issues because of having something happen in the past and then me getting cheated on. There is unresolved trauma, unresolved emotions that is, even though it's may not this huge thing, it's still something that is affecting our relationship. And so it's muddy waters. And I think a lot of people will kind of feel into what feels right for them in the relationship, whether talking to exes, that door's open at all or completely closed, whatever type of middle ground that'll be, depending on the person. But I can completely see why you'd think like, wait, why is it okay for you to talk to this girl, but I can't respond to this guy?
Yeah. I mean, it's just interesting because is there a part of me that feels like the ex-girlfriend is hoping that there's a little crack?
If I'm fully transparent
Yeah.
and thinking like, not what I would like to think, but what actually is the reality, that's probably true.
Because, okay, let's see it this way. Of all the people in the world that this person could be talking to,
yeah, you're right.
When they have a full community around them of people on the bed, because I would be open to thinking, okay, well, maybe they just don't have a community or they haven't been seen by someone to the degree they've been seen by you. But it's like, if all of your wants and needs are taken care of and you have a great community, why, of all people on the earth, do I need to be talking to an ex? And I mean, maybe this is just like the Scorpio in us. That's like, loyalty, jealousy,
Yeah.
and like I'm open to that. But I also just feel like just logically, why?
Yeah. And I think like now that you're bringing it to my attention, and now that I just remember that I've kind of like consciously, somewhat unconsciously chose not to bring this up and ask you if this is someone that you're okay with me speaking with.
Right.
And understanding you wanted to take a more enlightened perspective from it. You not potentially saying, no, I'd prefer if you didn't. I'm now realizing like, if there's any relationship in my life that would make you even the slightest question if I'm fully into this or not, it's of my best interest to no longer be talking to the other person. And so, yeah, from this conversation, it makes me realize that the road that I'm walking right now is going nowhere. Me keeping them in their life, in my life, isn't necessarily benefiting me or our relationship. It can only really hurt it. And so, as I'm literally processing this as I speak, I think I'm just kind of going to respectfully not talk to her anymore. Because like, no matter if you feel completely comfortable with it or not, I don't think it's good to have anything, even to the slightest degree, have you question our solidarity. And so, yeah, I think in a perfect world, I can say goodbye to the ex-girlfriend while simultaneously be like, yeah, I fully trust you to text whoever you want, do whatever you want, because I do fully trust you. Yeah. But there's a wound inside of me that is bigger than just you and I at this moment. It started outside of us and it's continuing outside of us. That's causing me to feel like shivers down my spine because of someone in your DMs or text messages. And so in a perfect world, let you just fully do that. And because that is what I would like it to be, I want you to know that you have like full freedom because I fully trust you, like genuinely. And any hindrance of that trust is coming from my own wound that I've yet to process fully then. And so I don't want that to limit or inhibit whatever conversations you feel as if you're meant to have. Yeah.
Well, I just want you to know that it doesn't bother me that you talk to her because I trust you. I don't know her though. And so I think where my mind goes is like, if what we're talking about holds, and there's even a small percentage that she thinks that this might open a door again, then have you ever actually asked her that? Have you like straight up kind of said the elephant in the room, which would be like, hey, the door is closed? Has that like been discussed? See, these are things I don't know. Yeah. And I think that in when you don't say that, the hope continues and the candle continues to be held. And I know that's an awkward thing to say to somebody because it assumes that that's why they're there. Yeah. But if there's any part of you that feels like maybe she's hoping for a crack, then it would make me feel most comfortable if the next time you spoke, you said that to her.
Yeah, I think I've never asked her because I feel like I know the answer.
What's the answer?
I think now that we've had this conversation and I give myself the space to feel into it, I think I know that even though it's not 90% of why she stays in contact, there is a small portion because she's holding the candle. And so, yeah, now that I face that and realize that, I think a conversation needs to be had with her. And maybe not even like a phone call. I mean, it's actually impossible for in person, but like even just like a voice note of like, hey, I'm moving on to the next chapter of my life. And I feel it's best for my relationship going forward for me to not really entertain these conversations and just do it from a very loving, respectful place. And I think any like reasonable human will get that, understand that.
I think so too.
So yeah, now you say that, I think that makes complete sense. And yeah. But to be honest with you, like I thought I'd feel like sad or something about that, but I'm just kind of like, all right, you know, because she's not really playing any like significant role in my life now. Yeah. And like you give me everything I ever could have asked for. I could see someone else not in our situation where their ex was good at like say emotionally supporting them more than the next, and they keep on going back to that ex for that. But you literally provide for me in every way I could ever possibly want. And so there's no part of my life besides just reminiscing on past experiences that she can provide me that you can't. So
what makes you want to pick up the phone when she calls?
I think of, and this is something else I'm working through. I've always been a caretaker for a lot of people. And even though she's a strong, independent woman, I was definitely at least partially that for her. And yeah. I always tell myself like, well, if she's ever like in a really hard situation and only I could fix it, then of course I'd do whatever I can to help her. But I'm also like, that's never going to happen. And she has other people she can call and talk to for that. And so just being at peace with just fully being like, goodbye. Which like, it's definitely unique because she stood for more than just a relationship. It was like a part of my life. She was Bali for me, a huge part of it. And so it's kind of signifying more. And also, I think that's maybe exactly what I need. So, yeah.
Do you think that there might be a part of you, I know you've talked about before, that when you were in the relationship with her, you weren't the man you wanted to be, and you feel like you're closer to that man every day, and there's a part of you maybe deep down that wants to almost be like, see,
That's
I'm able to be that man.
That's a huge part of it, actually. Yeah.
It makes sense.
I think someone who kind of believes in you before you believe in yourself, you kind of always want to prove it.
Yeah.
That you did it. And now that I'm doing it, now that you say that, I think that's the reason why I continued talking to her. It was more about validation that I wasn't giving myself. And yeah. And that being said, like, I've had a lot of women in my life that I never dated, but I knew were like romantically interested. But I was never outward about it towards them, so they never took matters in their own hands and said anything. And ever since we started dating, and especially being public about the podcast and seeing clips on my Instagram, whatever it is,
It's pretty confronting.
those have dried up almost all.
Oh, God.
Like, it's probably like legit close to like a dozen women
Wow.
like that.
And you just didn't date, they just had a crush on you.
Exactly. And held the candle out just in theory that it was possible.
Wow.
And 80% of that I haven't heard ever since we started. And then a few others, I think I've heard less and less from them, but they're still kind of sticking a reel out. And yeah, this honestly makes me question a lot of my life, but there's a lot of like, there's not that many women that were truly in it just to be friends. And that's a big chunk of my childhood, big chunk of the past 23, 24, 25 years of my life. And so understanding and making peace that like those people and I had great experiences together. And also I'm literally on to a new chapter of my life. And I think it's probably best to keep those people in another chapter is just an important emotion to feel. It's an important feeling to embody. So, yeah. And if I'm sad about that, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's like it's a huge part of who built you. And it gives me nothing but gratitude because they built me into the man capable of you.
Yeah.
So
thank you, sister.
Yeah, salute. Salute. Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, and we say this like with all love. Like, I offer that to you as an idea, as a perspective, and no matter what you choose to do with it, I trust you 100%.
Yeah.
And I have no problem with you talking to her. I don't, but it's what's most important is that she knows that the door is closed because that's you being integral, which I know is very important to you. And that's clarifying the energy investment both ways. Because if you are seeing it as, well, we're on our growth journeys and I want to catch up with her, and she's seeing it as, I'm going to continue to be really kind to him, and then maybe he'll want to get back with me, or like have this vision in his head that, oh my God, wait, I made a mistake, she's the one. We don't know what the other side is thinking, and we can't predict them, and we don't know them. And if there's even 1% chance that that's what she's thinking, then I just want to do the kindest thing, which is the most truthful thing, which is just say, thank you for everything we learned together, but I just want you to know I haven't said it yet. And I just feel like I need to say the deepest truth here. And if even after that, it continues going on as it has, I'm at peace. But in absence of the deepest truth, feelings get hurt.
Most definitely.
And the energy kind of goes on in this like question mark nebulous place. So, and I don't want that for her or you.
Yeah, I agree. And I knowing myself, like I can say that in a loving, respectful way that shows gratitude for all the experiences we shared, and also respect for the new chapter of my life and you. And any reasonable person that is in it for the right intentions will see that clearly. Be okay with that.
And won't be triggered by it.
Yeah, it was just
because if she's there just for wholesome intentions, which I want to believe some people are, then like she'll be like, yeah, of course. no problem.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, that's great. But if it's not the case, then okay, well, then we got new information that we can rock with, right?
And you're very happy with the choice you made. Exactly.
Right. So
yeah. Thank you for bringing that up today.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, I think that was needed.
For you.
That was like somewhat on the back burner in our conversations.
Yeah.
And I think it was in a conclusion I was coming to.
Yeah.
And you really just helped me fully see that. And of course, I don't think anything changes in between us, but it's just even more and more solidarity in how we act and what feels right for the both of us.
And I'm so grateful for you, baby. Thank you for sharing, being so open.
Of course.
Open heart and open mind. And I love how you were just like, I'm a hypocrite, LOL. Like, that was awesome. So I'm just so proud of you. And I love you so much. I adore you. And I trust you with everything, no matter what. So I never want you to feel like this conversation is me trying to, say, well, I don't trust you. And how come you could do this? And I don't feel that way at all.
Yeah.
It's more so, what's most integral is what matters to me.
Exactly.
And I would do the same. Like, I wouldn't keep this weird, like, energy of, I'm not going to say the deepest thing here, or the elephant in the room either, because then who knows why this random dude's reaching out to me,
100%.
So,
and to all the guys currently in her DM, I want to make this personal message for you to let you know that I see you, I hear you, and that I love you. Someone loves you out of this. And I respect you. And you do miss 100% the shots you don't take. But newsflash, you missed this one. But I promise you, I couldn't say better is down the road for you, but someone is down the road for you. And it's not this one. And for those who know me personally, I'm all about love, but I also keep receipts. Thank you for that compliment of seeing what I have and wanting it. And if there's any woman who comes up even remotely close to her, I'll send them your way. But until then, good luck fishing. Happy fishing.
Oh,
Shooting them shots on someone else's court. I love you.
You're crazy for that. Wow, what a show, y'all. That one was
how's it going?
I can't say that was planned, but that exceeded expectations. That was incredible. Oh my gosh, thank you for being here. We are so grateful for you. Wow, that was incredible. I felt a shiver down my spine as you were saying that. I was like, someone else's court. I was hanging on every word. But anywho, that's all we've got for you today. I would love to, in a future episode, dive into how to properly break up with someone and then navigate the post-breakup period. Because as I said at the top of the episode, I had the best and the worst of these experiences. And I'd love to dive into that so that you don't make the same mistakes and end up having this like very weird relationship with an ex that like just does not need to be so difficult. So we'll help you give that like ex survival guide, especially if your friend groups are intertwined. Ooh. Because oh boy, did I go through quite an adventure on that topic. Okay, but we'll leave you on a cliffhanger. We are so grateful for you. Thank you for being here. If you could drop us a little emoji comment or a 5-star review or subscribe. That really makes such a big difference to our show. And if you haven't heard already, we got really great announcements for you. We just launched our new communities for people who are dating, True Love Club and True Brotherhood. And who knows, maybe we'll have our first couple listen before lovers come out of these beautiful communities. So if that resonates, go to the link below and we cannot wait to see you in there. It's going to be so freaking fun. Thank you for being here. We're so grateful for you.
Y'all.
And we'll see you next week.
Love
bye
y'all.
bye, everyone.
Bye.